Welcome back. You're with us on Times Live 30, and once again I'm going to go across quickly to my colleague Hina Gambhir, who's with us from the news pit and trying to explain to us through Google Maps really on the vehicle concentration that we have seen from the Chinese side in Galwan region yesterday. Hina, just take it away from here, and if you can explain to us what is the evidence really on ground of Chinese treachery.
Satellite image which captures what really happened at the Galwan Valley, the face-off site, and this is the satellite image that Times Now has accessed. This is from Planet Labs, and it shows this track along the Galwan River. And if I just point towards the specific areas here, then the black spots that you can see around, these are actually indicating the vehicles, the vehicular movement in fact that suddenly happened after the face-off that happened on 15th evening, June 15th evening. We saw the clashes between India and China. India lost 20 of its soldiers. China still is tight-lipped about the casualty count on their side. But this satellite image from the next day, which is 16th of June, indicates too that perhaps there have been a lot of casualty count towards Chinese side as well. That's point number one. Sources have indicated that Chinese commanding officer was among those soldiers who got killed in China. That's another point. Now, I just want to quickly focus a little bit on what these images are also showing. Now, this is the track that we want to highlight, and here you can clearly see in between the black spots, these are the vehicles. Now, sources have indicated that these are actually the ambulances and various vehicles that were brought into this area, to this face-off site, to evacuate the soldiers from there. And it also points to another very important factor, that perhaps there were a lot of soldiers who were present here even after the face-off got over on the 15th evening, and that is something that the Chinese are not answering as of now. China has remained absolutely tight-lipped, but this build-up of the PLA of the soldiers from the Chinese side at this face-off site on 16th of June raises many questions.
And one of those questions, Hina, also is the presence of the number of PLA troops who were on ground and who suffered injuries and casualties in that violent face-off with the Indian Army. Remember, the Chinese government or military has not released the exact figures. So if these many number of ambulances had to be brought to that particular area to rescue their soldiers, then obviously many have taken a hit and there would be many more casualties than what we know right now.
Well, there are two things that we need to focus on. One, a lot of vehicles on the 16th, one, indicate that, there were many soldiers here who were being evacuated. Second, was it another set of build-up that has happened after the face-off at the Galwan Valley? That's another point that the Indian agencies will have to also consider very, very importantly. And clearly, this image shows us that, a lot of vehicular movement was happening along the Galwan River, the place where the face-off actually happened. Back to you.
Okay, thanks very much, Hina, for highlighting that for us. In fact, let me quickly go back to our guest now, Mr. Arasan Singh. I just want to understand from you, sir, what is your assessment of the situation on ground, the line of actual control, and many experts now telling us that it's not just the Ladakh region that we need to be worried about. We cannot definitely trust China on any part that we share with them in terms of our border areas, whether it's Arunachal, Sikkim or Ladakh.
No, I think this entire, narrative of, push and shove, dhakka mukki, I think it had a lifespan, and I'm afraid to say that this lifespan has come to an end now. Hereafter, things will not be same. Tactically, I'm speaking. So there are three things that are happening at different levels. One is, of course, the tactical level. I mean, what has happened. The other is strategic, and the other is grand strategic level. Strategic level is it is linked with your road. Everybody knows that the Darbuk to DBO road, and then Karakoram Pass, and then our strident claim on Gilgit Baltistan, and the way they trampled on the heart of Gilgit-Baltistan and made their way to Gwadar. Somebody has to contest it. Somebody has to contest it, and probably because of these strategic moves that we landed a globe master in DBO. These were very strong. They were strong strategic messages, and so somebody had to do this messaging. Now what has happened is that there are the grand strategy, of course, is everything. The pivot today is Taiwan. After President Tsai has been elected, these fellows have gone bonkers. And don't be surprised, they're already carrying out amphibious exercise in Hainan Island. I won't go into the timeline and other things, but they unleashed biological warfare just to neutralize the Americans in the Indo-Pacific region. Because remember, there are
the two border troops had command.
Then South.
All right. In fact, Mr. Arasan Singh, sorry to interrupt you there, because we were getting these visuals of the briefing which is happening.
The line of actual control for illegal activities and provoked and attacked Chinese personnel, which led to fierce physical confrontation between the two sides, border troops, and resulted in casualties. China has lodged strong protests and stern representations with the Indian side. We once again solemnly ask the Indian side to act on our consensus, strictly discipline its frontline troops, not cross the line, not make provocations, and not.
中印双方 通过外交和军事渠道就解决有关问题。
Have been in close communication to resolve the relevant matters through diplomatic and military channels. Shenzhen TV on June the 16th, the Australian Foreign Minister said that certain countries are taking advantage of the pandemic to weaken freedom and democracy. The EU report says that there is
Okay, just about some brief points which have come in so far from this briefing of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They claim that India provoked by crossing the line of actual control, and they have registered a protest with the Indian side. We'll continue to update our viewers with the latest that's coming out of that press briefing. Taking a very quick break here, back in a moment.